10.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 10 Count Podcast. My name is Kyle Crosby, alongside my broadcast colleague Michael Malley, aka Maggle. And we have a very special guest on the podcast today, Mr. Kevin Kittridge. Say hello, Kevin.
Is it really special? Am I special?
Super special, Kev. Super special.
That's delightful. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really enjoy the show. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We're going to start this part of the show with the Superstar of the Week.
Oh, yeah!
Woo! Surprises! Yes, Superstar of the Week. We've had some superstar shakeups. Now, Kev, who do you got for Raw?
For Raw, I have the Revival.
Say yeah! The Revival.
I love those guys. I think they're badass. And this is the second week in a row. I believe that they beat the New Day. Maybe they used chicanery, but I just love those guys, and I love that they're being shown as a serious force. And I'm really happy to have them on Raw.
You know what's funny is I wasn't a huge fan of theirs in NXT, but I think in this main roster, I'm digging the old school mentality. I think it's going to really work to their advantage. I really like them.
I just want to point out that we live in the United States of America, where you are free to believe what you want. All viewpoints are considered. Having said that, Michael, it's absolutely nuts to me that you didn't like the Arrival in NXT.
It was a DIY, baby. DIY.
It is nuts.
Maggle, who do you have for Superstar of the Week for Raw?
Jinder Mahal's forearm.
Good Lord! He almost killed Finn Balor.
All kidding aside, I give it to Braun Strowman. I think that his segment was just killer. He came back 3 times. You thought he was done, and then he would come back and do it again. And it got to the point where he did the unthinkable and just picked up the ambulance while Roman was in it, which is completely unheard of. And
I have been waiting for something like this. This is almost Attitude Era-ish type of entertainment. You heard the crowd the entire time. Obviously not what the WWE wants. Especially a lot of the WWE universe thought it was real and they had the petition.
First of all, I don't care for Braun Strowman. I think he's dumb and stupid. Well, tell you what, I'm going to say I also have never really cared for Roman Reigns. But last week, when he came out, it was the day after WrestleMania, and the crowd was booing the holy hell out of him. And he finally spoke, and that whole "this is my yard now," it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. But I still don't like him this week, and I want him to go away.
I always describe that little moment as like someone who's holding the door for someone, and people just keep coming through, and he's trying to find his way into the conversation.
He knew exactly what he was doing every time he lifted that microphone slowly to his mouth.
Yeah.
It was perfect. He was literally conducting the crowd.
I would get behind a heel Roman Reigns that would actually go against the crowd and would talk shit to the crowd and be purposely a heel.
And I'm totally good with that. And yet then they do this whole feel bad for Roman injury thing with Braun. That doesn't make sense to me.
Then that's enough Roman Reigns. Moving on. My Superstar of the Week pick for Raw is the resilient Finn Balor. This guy took that damn forearm to the face and took the mat to the face, got a concussion, finished the match. Now, he's going to be out for a little while.
Yeah.
It's a concussion. He won't be out for a long time. All right, for SmackDown, Kit, who do you got?
It is the Kevin Owens show. I love Kevin Owens, and I think starting the show with him in his suit, mostly shaven, he's just got a presence. And he made it known that he was going to be a player on SmackDown. And I just thought it was wonderful. He's the face of America, guys.
I'm fully behind it. Last week, hashtag my champion. I love Kevin Owens as the United States champion. And this beautiful, beautiful combination of AJ Styles and Kevin Owens, I think it's going to be a stellar match. I mean, obviously, that's an understatement.
I don't want these guys relegated to the U.S. title. This should be world title stuff.
Well, absolutely, but in the meantime, while they give their glory to Randy fucking Orton instead of Bray Wyatt, Maggle, your Superstar of the Week for SmackDown.
I'm going to have to give it to my girl Charlotte.
Woo! 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 Woo!
queen has come to the blue brand.
It was very much like the Revival. I just couldn't get into her in NXT, and then all of a sudden when she got into WWE and she started dominating and she kind of showed a variation of Flair's personality into her own, she just became the queen.
I am going to have to give Superstar of the Week SmackDown to Mr. AJ Styles. This guy, #1 contender for the United States Championship in that great match to close SmackDown. This guy can have a good match with a wet paper bag.
AJ Styles, the nickname fits him. He is absolutely phenomenal.
I have been phenomenally let down by WWE recently in regards to Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was the WWE Heavyweight Champion going into WrestleMania and all of the potential in the world. And then he loses to Randy Orton and loses all that momentum.
Fucking bullshit!
But it's really messed up because he was really high for a minute and then plateaued and then he got drafted to Raw. And the thing that's bothering me about this is that he's having this match with Orton for the title, but it's such a throwaway that I feel like this... I don't know really where they can go with Bray, and it feels like now, what do we do?
I was extremely disappointed when Bray lost the title to Randy at WrestleMania. I thought, especially because everybody knew the Universal title was changing hands, that it would be cool to have one of the titles stay. And, man, I just find Randy Orton very, very boring. And I think that I agree with what you were saying in regards to Bray had kind of found some footing again, and now he's just not. It's just fading.
Although it had a potential with the feud with Finn Balor. That is a dream match in my opinion anyway. I think that they can postpone that. It doesn't have to be right now.
It is going to be postponed.
Well, yeah, for a couple weeks maybe. But Bray Wyatt should have never lost that title until at least the next pay-per-view. Payback, he could have lost it to Orton.
I don't think Orton should be champ. I think he's very boring.
Well, if they're going to give it to somebody, they wanted to give it to Orton. WWE has a hard-on for Orton.
What?
They want to give it to him. He worked hard. He took that elbow from Lesnar. They want to reward him in some kind of way. And that's why they let him win the Royal Rumble.
Orton, yeah, I completely agree with Kevin. I think that Orton is so one-dimensional.
I think that it's important that Orton take a step back from the major title. He could have elevated the secondary title in the way that Cena did. Just take a step away from, the main title and give it to somebody like Bray Wyatt, somebody like AJ, somebody like Kevin Owens.
We were talking earlier, me and you, Kyle, we were talking about, is there what moment or what was the last moment that really defined Orton? And mine was Evolution betraying him. That's the last big moment. Since then, he's had that storyline with Edge. He's had that storyline with Christian. But all these storylines are sort of
boring. Christian was boring as fuck. I could
are.
not stand Christian. He was not entertaining. The best thing he ever did was hurt himself, and it's not a good thing.
I disagree. I really like Christian.
Well, you don't like Baron Corbin.
It was
who is next for Brock Lesnar.
You took the words out of my mouth.
I mean, I think they're gonna have Braun Strowman fight him, and I think Braun Strowman's going to lose. I don't know what the here's how I watch wrestling is I try to just sit back and let it happen and think that was cool or that was not cool. But there is the part of me that wants to plan things out. And it's like, what are they going to do with? And when I hear people complain about how things didn't match their plans, I'm like, well, screw you guys. This isn't about your plans. You can't be mad because they didn't fit your plans. But what the hell are they going to do with the title? Are they really going to have him have the title for a year and then so he can lose to Roman Reigns at next WrestleMania so we can all go, wow, Roman's great. He beat the monster. Because I don't give a fuck about Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar anymore. We already had it 1.5 times. I think Brock is going to beat Braun, and then who knows who he's going to beat after that. But I would love to be wrong. Please let me be wrong. Have somebody cool beat. I want Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar. I want that at SummerSlam, and I want Finn Balor.
Man, I wanted to see Samoa Joe or KO versus Lesnar for WrestleMania. I think KO would have been awesome in terms of reality and what is right now. Like you said, it's going to be Roman versus Brock next year. You know it. And that's the most disheartening thing about wrestling right now, is that it feels like we know the end goal, we just don't know how they're going to get there.
When did you guys start watching wrestling? Both of you?
I started watching wrestling in 2003.
I started in 1996.
Oh, shit. Okay, that's pretty good, Kyle. Now, I'm not one of those... I've been watching since... Wow, you said 96?
Yeah, 1996. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm an old man, and I started watching in about 87. I became an instant fan for life. I mean, it was injected into my vein when the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, was going to buy the championship, and Hulk Hogan was giving his response. And I watched him as Hulk Hogan held out that championship. And he said, oh, the multi-million-dollar man offered me a lot of money. I could do a lot of good with that money. And so I say to the multi-million-dollar man, and I watched with anticipation, hell no! And I thought to myself, good, because you shouldn't be able to buy the championship. So when I see all these changes over the past couple of decades, the one thing that has always stuck with me is that Vince McMahon, during the Attitude Era, he's doing an interview, and he said, our fans dictate the superstars. We listen to our audience, and that's why we're so successful. For the last, 3 years, he has been telling the fans, no, fuck you. Yeah. You want Roman Reigns. And that's why it's not working as well.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
He's fighting two different fronts. You have Triple H's concept of what the WWE should be like, which is NXT. And then you have Vince, who is still on the big guys. It's time for Vince really to step down. I mean, you
look at WrestleMania 30, and it's like, how screwed up did the company have to be for them to finally go, fine, we'll do what the fans want. And Daniel Bryan won, and it was awesome, and we were so happy.
I mean, as far as pushing different talents go, I think they're doing a pretty damn good job in other terms, as far as Seth Rollins.
I think Seth is extremely talented. I think he could be the face of the company if they wanted.
Oh, easily, hands down. It's just that let's hope that he won't be injury prone. And I understand this last one was a work, but it's still got to be in the back of his head every time he does a move. In fact, this new finisher that he adopted, it's...
Is this the third one that he's on?
Yeah, and I'm just not a fan of it yet. Maybe I got to see it more.
What is it?
It's a knee. It's just a knee to the face. But he's set on a collision course right now with Samoa Joe. I like this. It's a new feud. I mean...
it's great.
Yeah.
I'm totally in.
And I like Rollins' enthusiasm, and I like the way that Triple H and Stephanie are both off camera. Mm-hmm. They're not shown. They're not seen. It's beautiful. It's great.
I like how, Samoa Joe has the hidden work of being the hitman of that the new evolution. I love that, and how he doesn't even have to talk. He doesn't have to talk at all, and he all of his actions are performed. It's awesome. I love Joe. I cannot wait to see Rollins versus Joe. I can't wait to see Joe versus every one of the guys we have listed down here on this notepad.
Big topic of discussion this week. JBL has been in the news lately. In the world of professional wrestling, partly because of his bullying. Mauro Ranallo has been off air for a while due to aggressive behavior on behalf of JBL.
I didn't know we were going to go into the really powerful stuff here.
Yeah.
Yes, I think here's the deal. Not only is JBL a guy who allegedly really pushed Mauro on this, but Mauro has been very open about his battles with depression. And when you take somebody like JBL, who again, allegedly, because I wasn't there, but I believe him, but I think you go over the stories, it's not really hard to find examples where it's really crossing the line, a lot of stuff that JBL did. And Justin Roberts has a new book out, and I'm sure you guys know about that, where he details several things. And he didn't write that book to be a book about JBL bullying. It just came out at the same time that Mauro was going through this situation with JBL himself. But JBL got people to take Justin Roberts' passport when they were out of the country. Mm-hmm. So he had to do a big old bunch of stuff to get back into the country. It's like, all right, when are things a joke and funny, and when is it like, seriously, can we grow up?
It's a big discussion of old school mentality and this whole new school revival, and how everything is more publicized now, and it really is, a different school of thought.
And unfortunately, I don't think that JBL is the guy. As much as I love Vince, the word, and again, all I can do is quote consensus on the internet. But the word is that it's like it comes from above. So it's like it's the culture. It comes from the top. So what do? I mean, you can fire JBL, and you know what? You probably should. JBL should step down. But it is the culture that comes from the top, and hopefully Vince comes around to maybe this isn't appropriate workplace behavior.
The thing about this is that Bill DeMott had a very similar incident in which he was hazing students at the Performance Center. This was causing a lot of problems and eventually led to his fallout with the company. I mean, this is a very important issue, as we're seeing even in the media right now, with humor at the extent of someone else. And he comes from a very, very old school mentality. This is how they brought people when someone came into the company, just like any other, I'm sure, sport has their own way of hazing. But he comes from a very older perspective, and he feels like everyone should kind of pay their dues. And in some ways, it is cruel, but keep in mind, it's a different time. But it's a tough spot because JBL is such a commodity in terms of his commentating and just his impact in the company that it is a very gray area in terms of what do we do. And I think the best maybe...
I don't think that JBL's that great of a commentator. I think we could get somebody else in there, and I think I'd be fine with it. Let's throw this out there too. The great, huge, bitter irony here: don't be a bully, be a star.
You always see it, especially every WrestleMania season. This happens.
It is kind of an odd though stance, considering their whole company. I mean, a lot of the storylines are built upon bullying and taking advantage.
It's professional wrestling.
Right.
What?
And that just about does it for us here at the 10 Count Podcast.
Give me a hell yeah!
I would like to thank our guest, Mr. Kevin Kittridge. Kev, it was great having you on the show, man.
Goodbye. I do I'm going to plug my own shit here. I got a podcast I do with a buddy. It's a pop culture nerd podcast called All Right, Let's Do a Podcast with Kevin and Ralph. You can find us on iTunes. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, be sure to check out the All Right podcast on iTunes. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Channel D Productions and check out the latest videos. And last week's wrestling theme song was Marvelous Mark Marrow. Right before Sable, actually, right before the... And be sure to check in next week for an all-new episode of the 10 Count Podcast.
Kyle, hit that bell!